A viewer told me to reach out to a nursery called Elusive Plants. Small supplier, rare stock, plants you don't see everywhere. So the question is, do the plants actually live up to the name? And more importantly, can I get them into semi-hydroponics in 30 days? If you're new here, this is part of my Mystery Plant Box series where I reach out to nurseries and they send me plants that I haven't chosen, I don't know what they are, and I have 30 days to get each and every single one of them into semi-hydroponics. This box just arrived and I haven't opened it yet. Let's find out what's in it together. Okay, I am very anxious to see what plants Chris, who runs this little nursery that's found in Newcastle here in Australia, to see what he has sent me. I am really excited. Whew. That is that box open, and I've got a list of plants here. I'm not going to look at them because I want it all to be a surprise. This is a little note from Chris. Ooh, I see something peeking over there. I'll get rid of the peanuts and we'll get looking at the gorgeous plants. That is what we have to look forward to. So I am excited. Ooh, look at that. Oh my goodness, I have no idea what this plant is. Doesn't that just look amazing? It's variegated, which is awesome. It's also started to get those fenestrations over there. And I'm wondering, is this one plant? Is this two plants? Is this three plants? I don't think this is just one plant. I think there's a few plants in there because that just looks very unusual. Let me see what labels Chris has got for me in there. Woo! So I have an Epipremnum pinnatum aurea, which is amazing. So that would be, I'm wondering whether this is the, I want to say this is the aurea because it's got a little bit of yellow in it, but I don't think so. This looks more like an Epipremnum pinnatum to me. And then I have a Monstera gracilis. One of these is a Monstera gracilis, right? And he's actually got a little, these are little instructions on what you do, like how you take care of your plants. So it's not what the plants were, like I was thinking. So for those of you who are new to plants, he does send you a little care guide, which is amazing now. And, hang on. I do think there are 3 plants here and not 2. Hang on, maybe there are 2. It does look like 3. But I'm not sure. I don't want to open this up because the plants are being held in sphagnum moss. And I'm not going to do the transition right now. So I don't want to disturb the roots just now. But when I look at this, I think this is one plant over there. And I think this might be another one. Although, having said that, it could be that when Chris made the cutting, this was the mature leaf that was there, and this is what it's going to look like. And these are now the small leaves that have come off that cutting. This is what I am thinking. So I'm thinking this is the pinnatum over here, and this one here, that's the aurea, the yellow one. And the other one is what is the Monstera gracilis, this one over here. I could be wrong. I'm going to have to double check that with Chris to make sure I've labeled the right plants the right way. Now, what's interesting and what you will see right here is these are climbing plants, which becomes problematic for me because in order for me to, former me would put these on a moss pole. That's what I would need to put them on. I'm very tempted to put them on a moss pole because I know how beautifully they grow on a moss pole. And I haven't had an Epipremnum pinnatum aurea. I have had an Epipremnum pinnatum before and it grew really well. And I actually did a video where I did a repotting with my mom. My mom was there when I did that one. So that was a really fun project. I did some air layering and I extended the pole and all the things. So I might give it a moss pole just because I know how beautiful it looks. And the gracilis, I don't know, I'm not sure. But in terms of transitions, I don't think these plants are going to give me a big problem because, I don't know what medium they were growing in before. I wanted to say maybe they're still in the sphagnum moss from the propagation phase that Chris was doing. So this is really interesting because unlike all the other nurseries where I've had the plants arrive here in potting mix, these ones are arriving in sphagnum moss. So it's going to be really interesting to see how readily these transition from, you know, those, I want to call them slightly more immature roots than the roots that are already living in the potting mix. So I think this might be a direct transfer for both of these. I think a direct transfer straight into LECA clay balls might work really, really well. I'm very hopeful that that will work. But yeah, that is those ones. How gorgeous, how beautiful do they look? Loving that. Thank you, Chris. Love that. Ooh, that looks amazing. That reminds me a little bit of an Alocasia. It looks a little bit like an Alocasia Batik to me, Odora Batik. Where is my Alocasia Odora Batik? Here is my Alocasia Odora Batik, looking a lot like that. But I'm also, as I'm showing you this Alocasia, and I'm looking at this, I see something else. This over here, that's definitely a Syngonium. That is for sure a Syngonium. I'm loving that. Ooh, I used to have a very big Syngonium collection and I got rid of a lot of my Syngoniums. I had a big Syngonium wall. I had lots of Syngoniums climbing up that wall and I just kind of got tired of the whole climbing Syngonium thing. And I got rid of all of them. I still kept some cuttings and I do have some. So for example, this is a Syngonium that I still own. And I think, ooh, this looks like a panda, maybe? There. That looks good. But then again, it could also be a mishmash because I just got lots of, you know, as I was getting rid of my Syngoniums, I kept a few and then I just, you know, pot them all up together. So I don't know. And then I've got this one as well. I think this is a Syngonium aurea. And then there's probably a fantasy in there as well. That little one is probably a fantasy. I do have a few others dotted around my house. So I'm glad to have that little Syngonium. So let's take a look at the name tags so I know exactly what it is Chris sent. Hang on, and I love that he's got these little labels. They're just beautiful. They really are. Look at that. That's really good. It saves me having to label stuff. I knew it. I knew it. This is a Syngonium Confetti Tricolour. Exactly what I thought. Hang on. That one. That is a Confetti Tricolour. Love it. I don't think I ever had that one. So that's a great addition to my collection. I'm going to have to start doing something with Syngoniums again. Do you reckon I should make a Syngonium wall again? I'm thinking maybe I might make a Syngonium wall again. Loving that. What is the next one? Oh my gosh. Alocasia Odora Batik. Yes. I was spot on. Spot on. That will grow into that. I love this plant. It is so beautiful. And I got to tell you, I don't mind having two of them for sure. I am not giving that away. I'd rather have two of them. It grows so well. It's one of my least fussy Alocasias, honestly. If you were going to grow an Alocasia Odora Batik is one I highly recommend. Okay, so that is my Alocasia Odora Batik. Can I guess, what is this? I don't know. Is that some kind of Monstera maybe? Epipremnum? I don't know. Some Monsteras are a little bit weird. Let me see. Ooh. Hang on. Ah, wow. Oh. That is what that is. It's a Monstera. I was spot on. That is a Monstera adansonii. I'm going to hurt myself by saying this. Klotziana, I think maybe. I don't know. This one, that is a Monstera adansonii. Ooh, This is going to be really, really interesting. So I have 5 plants from Elusive Plants. I am really looking forward to this transition. Look at how beautiful they are. I love them. I absolutely love them. Wow. So yeah, how awesome is that? So if you're in Australia, but you can check out Elusive Plants, the link is in the description. You can go check them out, see what Chris has to offer. Clearly, a lot of these plants are, 1, 2, 3 of a kind. He's not a big nursery. He's just got these prime specimens. So if you're looking for something special that you can't find anywhere else, I highly recommend giving him a look and see what he's got. But I'm really looking forward to transitioning these little babies. I think they're going to be absolutely fabulous. So I'll do the transition, and that video is going to live at thelecaqueen.com. If you're interested in watching that, you can find that. There's a link in the description of this video, and you can see how I actually move these plants step by step and why I decide to do what I do when I transition them and put them into semi-hydroponics, the reason behind all that. And then I'll come back in 30 days time and to show you what these gorgeous babies are doing, and hopefully they will be doing really well. I'm hoping 30 days time. It's not going to take us quite into spring yet, but I really hope that, the weather starts to warm up a little bit and those plants are doing fantastically. A special message to the viewer who recommended Elusive Plants. Thank you so much for showing me a part of the internet I didn't know existed. Thank you for bringing these beauties into my life. And Chris, the owner of Elusive Plants, sends his thanks as well for recommending his little nursery. Thank you. And if you have another nursery that you'd like to recommend to me for me to reach out and do a mystery plant, let me know in the comments below. Go check out the rest of my mystery plant boxes here. I'll see you with these babies in 30 days.